Welcome to the JJ Remake, where I, Jump, show you how much of a hack I am by reusing old content. Of course, every month cannot go as swimmingly as I hope it would, and the poll for this month ended in a tie between two. After thinking about it, examining things, how's best to deal with this, in the end I decided, you know what, I'll do both of them. They both warranted another look from me, and well, people did vote. There was quite a lot of votes for them, so well, better give the people what they want. So for this, for the first one, I decided to work on the one that reached the top votes first, as it were. Me Little Vampire. Now, there are many ways this can be interpreted, and I can only really give you my sort of feelings while doing it, because in all honesty, this was supposed to be the kind of like bit of the embarrassing older brother, as it were, because I myself was, of course, the embarrassing older brother, but embarrassing as you get to a point where you really don't kind of care, and like you just embarrass your like little sisters by just being who you are. So it was, I remember times they've been tough, like for them, or when they've gone through difficult times, and I've been there to try and cheer them up, So yeah, this was supposed to be a lot more innocent than I think a lot of other people. I mean, I still, oh goodness, I still remember some of the comments from the people who weren't that fond of me. they were very exaggerated, they were. But that don't matter. Now, I could go into great detail about the problems I see with this particular image, but I think that might be best to talk about after you see the remake. So, yeah, sit back and enjoy. We're going to watch the progress. Well, originally, that little bit that you saw for a brief second there, I was considering whether or not to keep that in, but then it was like, well, why not? Why shouldn't I keep it in? Anyway, for this one, I did something that I don't kind of normally do. I kind of do it, but I actually tried to be a bit more serious about it this time. I tried to do as much of the background and foreground as I could, and try and create a little bit more depth to the image. Now, of course, as you can probably tell, it was a pain in the butt to just trying to figure out what sort of pose I should do. But then again, when you're working with digital work, you can be a lot more loose, as it were. So that ability to not have to commit to every line gives you a lot more freedom, and you find that can carry on to physical media. Hopefully I'm making sense. Like, by doing this, you're able to draw, using pencil and paper quite well. Anywho, well, to be honest, this whole thing I got, when I put all the footage together, it took about 3.5 hours altogether. The footage says 3.5 hours. The problem I have is, after pulling it through here and condensing it to about 10 minutes, it feels very trivial. It feels weird, like all this hard work I was doing just going like this. But as you could probably see, one of the things that I kind of had to learn, because it took a while for me to get there, was that always work on the image, create lots of layers, and don't be worried about changing what you did on the layer previous to the finishing layer. Although I was just trying a few different pens, trying to figure out which ones worked. And as you could probably tell, I did change his lips. I was going to make him like puffy lips, so he's going, "Here's my little vampire," but I thought, nah, that's a bit too silly. I'd want him to like not look like he's patronising Lucy. So I thought I'll try my best to get have a bit more of a relaxed kind of feeling, and that's what I want. That's kind of what I wanted to have with this image. I wanted to be relaxed. I wanted it to be very calming. I wanted it to be intimate, but intimate in a like they know each other sort of sense. That's what I was kind of aiming for. Whether or not I achieved it, I don't know, but that's kind of what I had in mind. Also, when it came to me actually planning out what I was going to draw, as you kind of saw, I just kind of started like with the stump, and then everything came around it. So I didn't really know what I was going to be drawing until I kind of started, when I started moving. And then when I get beyond that little hurdle, I find that everything just kind of fits into place. With the background especially, a part of me, what I would normally try to do is I'd normally try and draw the characters first and then draw the background around them, because I'm a hack. Because a lot of it used to be, I didn't want to be drawing what I didn't need to be drawing. Like, I used to think that was wasting a lot of time, but the more I've started to think about it, the more I felt it kind of benefited to actually draw it, because instead of me trying to guess or trying to work around what I've done, it's already there. So it was like a misconception I'd put in my head, where I'd think it would take longer to do if I did do it. But actually putting that into practice, I kind of proved myself wrong. It actually works a lot faster if you just do a proper job at the start. It works. It's freaking amazing. It absolutely works. But while I was doing this, as hopefully, just wondering where it's going to be. As you can see, what I did with the background and with the trees, I only did one layer, and again, that was during a sketch where I've put all the lines on it and I've like tried to give it a bit of texture and a bit of depth. It kind of looked all right, but when I started to make it into more of a proper image, adding the colour and all that stuff, that's when I started to see problems with the background, and I kind of knew that wouldn't work. It wouldn't work. In fact, actually, you see me try to put a few colours in the blank area between the trees, because I'm trying to think, what colour would work here, what would work best. And it was kind of just cycling through some of the colours. I kind of just realised that, nah, this ain't gonna work. This really ain't gonna work. I'm gonna have to put a little bit more effort into it. And again, with the sky, I originally, as you know, it was just a blue sky with a gradient going from blue to white, which I can show a bit better when I do the side-by-side comparison. Here we go. Look, I'm cycling through the colours and I'm thinking, oh, does that work? And then I thought, I know, I'll like fill in the colour individually on those leaves, which was stupid. I just realised it would be faster for me to do the wall, create a layer underneath, and just smush it full of, like, just put loads of, yeah, see, look how fast that is. So it's always a learning process, this is, and the more I work on it, the more I learn. And it's kind of the more I record myself, because I know that other people are going to see it, I kind of push myself to not be a lazy bastard. And I try to do a better job. And I gotta admit, I did really like all the greenery, because okay, green is one of my favourite colours. I don't know why, I just love just the amount of greens you can have in nature. And I always try to illustrate that if I get the opportunity to do it. And here we go, because I thought to myself, it's too open, I can't just put in a colour, so I thought, I'll just sketch in some trees, you know, get some darker colours, put it in, try and add a bit of depth. And hopefully it works. Hopefully it actually comes off looking as I hoped it would. I just keep saying that, I hope it works. Now, just trying to neaten up a few things here, just trying to make it look a little respectable, you know, trying to have a little bit of pride in my work. Now, here we go, I was playing a lot with the shades. I thought, I'll make it a sunset sort of deal. Like, story-wise, what if something happened, Lucy got upset, and she got so upset, instead of hiding in the vents in the house, she actually just left the house. So Lincoln's gone out to try and find her, and he's found her at one of her favourite secret hiding places, which is the abandoned caretaker's cottage at the old cemetery. You know, no one goes there anymore. So, you know, he's gone to find her. He's like, well, how's my little vampire? You know, trying to cheer her up. So, of course, because I'm thinking she's like left and they've all tried to find her. Naturally, it'd be a bit late when they do find her, because that's kind of how it normally goes, like near the at the end of the day. So that's what influenced me to make it, to change it from the original blue sky to a to orange, with a nice orange glow everywhere. Again, I'm not really good with perceiving a 3D shape, if I'm making sense there, like seeing things in a 3D way. So like creating shadows is still really bloody difficult for me, but again, that's something I'm learning. And something that I thought I'd give it a try this time was that I would try to like add a bit of depth to the image by blurring the background, by giving it a bit of a blur. Now, of course, like, you know, some people can be a bit like upset, like, oh, I'll put all that time and effort into it just so you don't see it, but there it is. And well, yeah, so let's do a little side-by-side comparison. Let's put you here. There we go, perfect. Alright, and let's see if we can just get that to fit in there, and get this one to fit in there. While I did think about changing the poses up a little bit more, but it didn't quite work for me. I just wanted to keep that sort of thing, just upgrade, take what I've learned and make it better. I mean, if you look in this one, the original, you can see all sorts of problems with it. Well, things that I think are problems anyway. Let's see if I can find a nice colour to illustrate it. I mean, because as you can obviously see, you got Lucy's hands here, but where the hell's, like, where is it coming from? Well, of course, it should have been here. Her arm should have been coming up around here. And then we've got how her hand is, which should have been a lot more this way. You see See what I mean? Like when you look past at the old work, you can clearly see the things you've done. But again, that's not to discredit my old work. It's just that's where I was then. This is where I am now. Who knows where I'll be, further on down the line. I originally just had her on a wall. It was just a random image I did, but when I did the new one, I was thinking to myself, what happened? What's going on? What led to this? So, because I did that, I was able to give it a little more feeling. Would that be the right word? Feeling? It just seemed to work a lot better when I've got an idea behind it. This is why a lot of my single images I can easily create into a comic. That doesn't mean I'm going to, because that's just insane. But hopefully that gives you a little bit more of a little bit of a better idea how I think about these things and how I work them out. Because part of me does think about, could I do a little comic before and after this? Heck, I may even be able to create a comic in regards to the mummy Luan and incorporate this into it. I could easily do that. That wouldn't be a problem. But I'm not going to, because I'm a hack and I don't know any better. Although I've gotta admit, while looking at this, I did kind of notice that I actually missed out on something. So before I finish this video, let me just correct what I've done wrong. There we go. Perfect. I'd like to give a quick thank you to my patrons, as it's because of their support I'm able to keep doing what I'm doing. And I'd like to give a nice little special shout out to the following peeps. We have Joseph, Infamous Sen Papi, Death Metal Junkie 87, that is a very good year, The Zanik, Rick Two Tails, 8 Flesh Memories, and Turka is Borat? Oh goodness, I hope I said that one right.